So we have the amazing Dr. Lola. Dr. Lola Okeowo is a trained medical doctor, autism professional, behavior analyst, self-mastery coach, and tech enthusiast. She is the visionary founder of Autism Renewed, an online consulting practice dedicated to coaching parents on how to help their children overcome speech delay and other developmental challenges. She is also the host of Autism Renewed Conference, an annual gathering designed to educate and empower parents and the public with actionable strategies to support children with developmental delays. With extensive knowledge in language development, nutrition, and behavioral management, Dr. Lola is a passionate advocate for joyful learning. She specializes in helping parents transform their homes into vibrant environments that foster both learning and fun. A firm believer in parenting empowerment, Dr. Lola champions the idea that an informed, equipped parent gives their child a parenting advantage, one that makes all the difference in navigating life's challenges and triumphing over them. As a self-mastery coach, she leads individuals through transformational journeys, helping them understand the season of life, breaking limiting beliefs, unlocking their full potential, and embracing limitless possibilities. In addition, Dr. Lola's passion for technology has led her to teach professionals how to transition into the tech industry, access remote job opportunities, and thrive by leveraging their existing skills. Her lifelong mission is to live a life of fulfillment, not just survival, and to help others do the same. Please, all of you, help me welcome the amazing Dr. Lola Okeowo. I hope I got the last name right.
It's a good try. Good morning, here all the way here from Australia. Hello,
What?
everyone. Evening, afternoon, whatever time you're joining. Thank you, Ify. Thank you for the privilege and platform. Thank you for the amazing work that you do. I was really surprised when I got the invite, but I'm really honored to be here. And I have a slide presentation. I would appreciate if you can just make me a co-host. Let me share my slide.
Yes, we will have them do that for you now. Give us 1 second.
Okay. Let me share my slide. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we
Yes,
Can you
can.
see my screen?
yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm giving 25 minutes. I'm going to try because I can't even teach this topic in 2 hours. People that know how I teach know I like to unpack a lot of things, but I will try. So I'll just try to move very fast with my slides if you have questions. And like if you have said, these 3 days is really not enough. And the truth is, I haven't even been listening to the speakers for the past 2 days because when I'm invited to speak anyway, I try not to listen to the people before me because somehow I don't want them to influence what I'm going to say. I want to say what God will have me say after I go back to listen. But somehow, because I was supposed to speak at 7:45, I was here early, and it looked like a Cochesia spied into my notes. Because some of the things she was saying was really part of the insights and revelations and the things that were heavy on my heart as well as I prepared for this class. Now I understand why I was the direction that God was trying to go with this class. So, hello everyone. They've introduced me. I will just go straight on. And so do you know that Dr. Rena, when I was doing my internship, was actually my resident. I actually know Dr. Rena. I've worked with Dr. Rena. He was my senior registrar. I know Baby Growth as well. I remember when she started Baby Growth, I was in Nigeria. I was one of the first set of people that used to patronize her those days. So it was just amazing to see lots of people on the flyers. Even though I haven't listened to their sessions, I will go back and listen. Thanks, everyone. So I'm talking about raising healthy children in a digital world, screen time and family connection, you know. And this topic, as I thought about it, is a little bit about me. As I thought about it, the first thing that was occurring to me, I know most people may be coming here to say, oh, how many times a day should my child be on the screen? But trust me, the conversation is not primarily about that. So one of the things, like I said, Coach Azia is like he spied into my notes. What was heavy on my heart was, let's go back. He says raising healthy children. Are you raising children or are you stewarding destinies? Because the truth is that as a parent, you're not just raising children, you're stewarding destinies. And if you have that perspective, it shapes everything you do, including the nutrition we're talking about. And remember, you're going to give accounts. When people come and say they are my children, they are not your children, they are God's children that He has entrusted into your hand. If that doesn't scare you as a human being, I don't know what else will scare you. So you can't do anyhow. You can't do what works for you. You do what works for these children. And you're talking about healthy children. So the health is at the center of this, the health of these children. Because when you answer this question, the question of screen, it will put a lot of things in perspective. Let's talk about what is health. According to WHO, health is not just the absence of disease. Is the well-being, complete well-being of your physical health, your mental health, your social health, your spiritual health. And do you know that screen can affect all these areas of health? Screen can affect all these areas of health. So what are the stakes? It's not just about entertainment. I tell people, childhood is not a time for anyhowness. You're not babying a child. You're raising an adult. So if you understand that your 5-year-old today is going to be a 25-year-old someday, so you know that the season of raising children, every season is not just an anyhow time. So screen is not just passive. No matter what you consume, or even your children, yourself, people think, I'm just relaxing. I'm just watching a movie, or my children are just watching a kiddie program. There is no passive consumption of anything. Because has it ever occurred to you that anyone that is spending so much money to create programs or things like that, they have an agenda. So everything you consume is doing something to you. It's programming you. It's shaping something. I mean, let's talk about our children now. Is programming, is shaping, is indoctrinating, is doing something. So it's not just about entertainment. There are lots of things that has risk, even though we have benefits of screen. We're not denying the benefits. But remember, +5 minus 20, is it really a plus or a minus? Those are the conversations we need to be having. There are lots of risk, brain development, talking about things that excessive screen can cause. Sleep, affect sleep quality, affect attention span, affect their social skill, affect emotional regulation, even spiritual formation. Now, I've told you all the 4 areas. Screen can actually make or mar their creative thinking, their physical health. So when we talk about screen now, we're not just talking, we talk about the device, and we have to talk about the content, because most times parents also just focus on the content, whether what they are watching is a good thing. So because they are watching something good, then that means a child is allowed to watch excessive of it. No, because you need to understand the makeup of the devices. When we're talking screen now, I'm talking everything from phones to tablets to computers to laptops, to TV, to even things like virtual reality devices, so anything that has a digital device in that sense, and they are manufactured with the smart screen of smart system technology. We're talking about it. So you need to understand the impact of the device itself. Okay, screens are designed to be addictive because they activate the dopamine center of the brain. So that's why you see when children are addicted to screen, they act like cocaine addicts. The child can watch 2 hours. When you take the screen, the child is shaking, you're wondering, what the child is watching, he's so calm. And that's why we call screens digital cocaine. It activates the dopamine center. So we need to understand this, to understand how to use it. It can create addiction patterns, it can overstimulate, makes them hypersensitive and things like that. So when your child is screaming for an iPad, it's not just a behavior, they're having withdrawal symptoms. Now let's talk about what we're talking about. There are 2 distinct, powerful distinctions we must make. We're not anti-tech. No, we are anti-unstructured consumption. So some people think that the fact that your child has to want to be a tech genius, then they need to consume excessive amount of tech. No, we are not talking about the tech consumer child. We want to create a tech capable child who can, because at the root of every tech genius, it is not the tech that came first. They produce the idea from within. So we want a child that can think independently, that can use a tech as a tool, not the tech using them, that they can build, they can create, and they have control enough to know when to leave it. Okay? They are not emotionally dependent on it for stimulation. So, but the screen-dependent child is one that is seeking constant stimulation. The child won't eat without screen. The child will not sleep without screen. You go out, your child can't be settled without screen. Or the child is using screen as boredom, or we are using screen as nannies. They are irritable when the screen is not there. They can't think without this. I mean, they can't think fast, they can't create, they can't do all those things. That is a screen-dependent child. That is the child that is just consuming, not creating. We don't want children that are getting on social media and they don't have a message for their world. They're just doing some laughing, looking for likes, looking for clicks. And you're saying is a thing of nowadays. Remember, you're stewarding a destiny. If you're stewarding a destiny and you understand what that means, you will know that we don't do trends. We don't do things that are popular. We do things that will align with the destiny of that child. And as I was preparing for this, one thing was heavy on my heart. I know I'm talking about stewarding a destiny. I'm talking about the adult you are raising. So the first question as a parent, do you even have an idea of the destiny you are raising that has been entrusted into your hand? Do you have an idea of who that child is supposed to be as a 25-year-old? Because if you don't even have that idea, it can shape a lot of things on the journey of that child. Like, before I talk about the concept of virtual autism, in emphasizing that point, if you think about the royal family, a potential prince or king, you know there's a way they are raised. They don't do trends because of the future. So every parent that God has entrusted a child, if that child has a destiny, the question is, do you know it? If you don't know it, you need to go back to the drawing board. And because if not, anything will go. Let me talk about the concept of virtual autism or screen autism. Even though, yes, there may be arguments, is it real autism, is it not real autism? However, the concept came up because excessive exposure to screen, particularly for younger children, has been shown to cause autism-like symptoms. So similar symptoms that you see in children diagnosed with autism, you tend to see it with these children: speech and language delay, social interaction issues, limited, attention and focus, reduced imaginative play, sensory seeking. Some of them, struggle to maintain eye contact and things like that. The truth is that you can explain. I didn't really put a lot of things because I have very short time. So, but I'll just explain these concepts. I just highlighted all the things I want to talk about. So the reason you can explain it, how did God design us to learn? God designed us to be able to use all our senses to interact with our environment and learn. So that's why you see a baby. The baby will bite something, will smell it, will tear it. What is the baby doing? He's trying to use the senses to explore and learn. But when a child is very little, in the first 3 years of life, the brain is still developing. Okay. So, but when you put a child in front of a screen, what happens is that the child is unidirectional. So the child is just consuming from the screen. So the early years, the brain we have the left and right side of the brain. So the first few years, the right side of the brain is the one that really develops first. And that's the social part of the brain that has to do with all the social regulation, emotional regulation, behavior, all those creative abilities and things like that. So, but if you expose a child to screen and you're not exposing the child to real life interaction, talking, doing things with them, it's like you shut down other aspects of the brain. So all the skills that the child is supposed to be developing during that period, because the way real language to develop is a human interaction, creative play with sand, do this, talk to them and all that. But the child is fixated on the screen. The child is just consuming. So what happens over time is that the child will not have built the skills that they need in that period. So you begin to see all those fixated symptoms. And remember, it activates the dopamine center of the brain. So there's now like a rewiring of the brain. The child becomes addictive. And screen creates like a false high. When people are high on cocaine, it's like you're in a high wall. That's why some children become very hyperactive. They can't sit down, they can't settle, because it's called a sensory seeking behavior. They are seeking like that high because they are used to that false high. So they struggle to be present, to be able to learn and interact with their environment. So you begin to see all these symptoms that you often see in children diagnosed with autism. The good thing is that if it's noticed early and you take away the screen, you now bring in like intentional social interaction and some other things. All other things being equal, that there are no other ongoing issues, most of these children will tend to catch up. Of course, you may need a therapist, a professional to work with you as a parent to teach you how to interact with the child, depending on the age of the child, depending on the severity. Of course, you could do all the assessments and other things. It doesn't negate those things, but because what therapy does is that therapy is like you have to try to help a child to catch up. That's the concept of therapy, that there is a gap, we put interventions in place and we try to help the child. So if all other things are all good and no other things ongoing, it's easier for the child to begin to work and to catch up. So I just thought to mention that because it's something that you might hear. But like I say, for me, it's not about the diagnosis, whether it's real or not. When I focus on my clients is regardless of a diagnosis or not, this child has challenges in this area. What are the things that are precipitating these things? Can we eliminate them? Can we begin to introduce intentional interaction to support the child and help them to close the gap? So, of course, I've talked about the first 18 months. Even the American Pediatric Association will say no screen at all. I mean, no screen. And parents, you also have to be careful. If you work on your laptop a lot, don't carry your little one. You have parents, you're carrying your baby with you. You're exposing the child to screen. So, because remember that it is the exposure to the screen, not just the content. So try not to carry your little one with you when you are with your screen, because it's still part of exposure to the screen. If you need to breastfeed or do anything, you can turn away, do what you have to do, put the child down. Don't try to avoid carrying the child with you when you're working on your system, on your laptop, and you have to do it for a long time. It's something that you may not be conscious of because you may think that the child is not exposed. Of course, maybe the child is sleeping. That's a different case. But most time you see parents with their babies and their babies are actually watching the screen. Even though it's a good content, it's not a bad content, but the exposure, you want to avoid it. So first 18 years, no screen, because they want them to have real life interaction, because real life interaction is what a child needs to build all the pathways, all the skills, all the right brain. I've talked about the right brain, the social, emotional, and things like that. And what you have to know sometimes with developmental things is that sometimes children need to develop certain milestones even when they don't need it. Particularly this emotional and social. Sometimes emotional gaps may not even show till a child is older. Sometimes it shows maybe in behavioral issues, in regulation, but there are times it doesn't even show. So sometimes the critical skills that a child needs to build in the first 3 years of life, sometimes it's not the younger years they need it. Things like when we start talking about the attachment theory and all those kind of things, I don't have time to unpack all those things. The first 3 years, sometimes you see those gaps when the child is older. I was consulting with the parent today, and she was saying some things. Now the child is older, they are seeing some learning challenges. I mean, when she started I started asking about the history. When she made the first two statements, I already knew where the issue was in the first year of life. It had to do with crawling and all that. Because if a child does not crawl, it's a big red flag, even if the child is walking. So most times people feel like, okay, my child did not crawl. It keeps crawling. Now the child is walking. Everything is fine. No. Crawling is not just a prerequisite to walking. Crawling is one of the things that builds the brain. So some children, if they don't crawl, when you start seeing things like with speech delay, learning issues, writing issues, all those things, cognitive issues, processing issues, it's a big red flag. So the same thing we're talking about, those first 3 years, lots of skills development are ongoing that they will need later on. And you may not even see the deficiency or the deficit. Because most of the time, the deficit people see is just speech and language. And that's not the only deficit that excessive screen exposure can cause. We talk about the tech giants, the tech giants who are creating this tech, so they don't even expose their phones to it, their children to some of these things. Okay, so if they can protect their own children from it, shouldn't we protect it? Okay, some of them send their children to screen-free schools. Some of them homeschool their children. They create their own school environment. Some of them don't even use some of these big gadgets they are producing for us. So if they are not exposing their own children, that means there's something they know that we should also know. There's this something I wanted to talk about. Okay, I'll talk about this first. Of course, I've talked about the 4 dimensions of health and how screen can impact every area. Sleep. Screen can impact sleep. So that's why it's not advisable at least 2 hours before your child goes to bed. Avoid screen, because some children, excessive exposure to screen makes them hyperactive, can be hyperstimulated, so they will struggle to settle. And they may not even have good quality sleep, because it's not just about sleeping. Good quality sleep is important to build the brain, for them to learn the next day in school, for them to be refreshed, and for them to be well settled. Of course, it leads to reduced activity. So because they're sitting, some children will sit for long hours, especially when you have your toddlers that are very active. So some parents are like, this child is too active. The child, I can't just be following the child. You will now strap the child somewhere and the child will be watching TV. It's not good. You cannot do that. Rather, you can create like this, we have this like a playpen, a big playpen that the toddler can come out of it. Then you put certain things so the child can move. So don't avoid strapping, children, because movement in the early years is one of the things that builds the brain. The first 3 years of life, one of the things that builds the brain is movement. That's why when we say play, 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 play. I have this my book here called The Play Man. I talk about play a lot. I talk about toys. So on social media, you hear parents say my child plays too much. Let me say something. There is nothing like a child plays too much. Play is a tool that you use to build skills, enhance learning and different. The question is, do you know how to use play? So for a child, even a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, everyone is allowed to play. But of course, what play looks like is different. So allow your children to move. Movement, that movement is not just play, it's building different areas of their brain. Okay, it affects, of course, mental. I've talked about mental, attention span, creativity, cognitive ability, even young adults and even teenagers and young adults. I've seen teenagers that when we are playing all some critical thinking games, you will see that the ones that are exposed to screen excessively, they can't think. They can't really think. Even adults, let me tell you a story. I had a colleague one time, and she was talking about her child with screen. And I said, as I broke down this concept of screen to her, and she just looked at me, she was like, do you remember something? That as a child, she used to be very creative. Before she was 10, she used to write articles for magazines. She's Asian. She used to write articles for magazines and publish. But she now remembers that when her dad bought DSTV, and she started watching, she lost all those creative abilities. Some of us will know that maybe when you could think, but some of us, you will see some adults who struggle to think. Go check. If you're having excessive exposure to screen, it affects cognitive ability, even for younger adults, for teenagers, for us as adults. Of course, social interaction as well, poor communication, less empathy. Of course, spiritual, like I said, it affects every area, because what you consume, now we're talking about content now, what you consume, shapes your perspective, shapes your ideology, and programs you in a certain way. Okay, I'll go back to this now. There's something in recent times that I had noticed that I feel that is not being talked about enough. Okay, the impact of screen on the eyes. Of course, I've always known that of excessive screen will impact your eyes. But recently, because I also do a lot of work online and do a lot of work on the PC, I started having issues with my eyes. All of a sudden, I just went out when I was driving and I had photophobia. Photophobia means that you struggle with light. So the sun, I was just, what's happening? What's happening? My eyes were just kind of heavy. Then it occurred to me that for the past few days, I'd had long exposure because I was doing a lot of things on my laptop. I realized that, whoa. And my husband as well, he also is into tech and he's doing a lot of projects on his system. And he was beginning to have those things. And you know what occurred to me? I wasn't taking the precautions that I should. I wasn't wearing my blue light glasses, my computer, my laptop. I did not put those screen guards. Then I'm like, me, at what age did I start using screen? Children that are using screen from when they are young. Nobody is talking about this now. So in the next 5-10 years, we're going to have more children who are going to be having eye challenges. Now we're talking about brain, we're talking about language, communication. But in the next few years, it's going to really be an issue. Remember, I talked about it, that as a parent, you need knowledge. You need to have knowledge, because the core responsibility as a parent is to help our children to navigate the world, to equip them. Do you understand? So before I give my child a tablet or introduce them into the digital world, I need to have knowledge and equip them with the right knowledge. So this is part of the knowledge of the impact of those things. So that means that giving your child a laptop, you must tell them about using the blue glasses and all those things, maybe the eye drops and other things, to lubricate your eyes and things like that. Then I was like, whoa, this is another thing, because it is really, even right now, I'm not fully over it yet. And I'm being honest with you. But it just occurred to me, of course, I'm not wearing my blue glasses, maybe because I'm having this session and all that. But, and I'm not really used to it. So I'm trying to get used to the blue glasses thing. But I'm just saying that these are some of the things that we take for granted. It's just the times. And when consequences now come, we just think, oh, maybe it's just normal eye problem, not knowing that some of those things are actually preventable. So the question is, if we're going to expose our children into this world, what are the things that we need to do? I'm going to get into that. I just wanted to mention as a side note for AAC devices. So AAC are augmentative and alternative communication devices used by most children who have language and communication issues, because I know that I often get that question when you start talking about screen. These children use is like a tablet form and they use it to communicate. So, and I always emphasize that when we're talking about screen exposure, we're not talking about the AAC. And the reason is this: when it comes to AAC, the children are not consuming the content. You see, when it comes to normal screen, a child is consuming the content. A child is not interacting with the content in a productive way. But AAC, a child is using it as a tool of communication, not just sitting and staring at it all along. So I just need to make that distinction because we may have parents who have children who have that device, and I feel that it's important to just mention that. Talk about the 4 dimension. So as a parent, you are a researcher. I was already getting on that point. Okay, if you cannot navigate a world you don't understand, and if you don't understand it, how do you help your children to navigate the world? So as a parent, you must be an expert on all things. You hear some parents say, I'm not a social media person. What does that mean? You must become. I'm not saying that you should be dancing on social media, but remember, it's your duty to help your children understand the world and navigate. I tell myself, see, your duty as a parent is not that your 25-year-old has 2 masters. My duty as a parent, my 25-year-old is for them to be who God wants them to be and be in purpose at 25, not 2 masters. You see someone who are 40, are still looking for purpose up and down. We're still doing personal development. So what have we been doing? So the digital world is a world. It is a world on its own. So as a parent, you need to understand it. So before you give your child a device, that they are 18 is not ticket to have a device. So some of us, we have phones, we have never read the manual. Terms and conditions, you just say, okay, 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 okay. We don't understand it. And yet you give your child a phone as a birthday gift without understanding it, without training them. Do you give your child a car key without doing driving lesson? Even if they do a driver's lesson, they must pass. They must understand. Even if you don't have a car and you have to give your child a car, you must why do you do that? Because you understand the danger. There could be accident. They need to check the engine. The engine can knock. The same thing. This phone is like a gun. Because remember, your child gets on it. Your child is exposed to so many things. So you can't just give your child a phone even because they are just 18. Mm-mm. So you must understand the world you are in. Now we're talking about online games. You go and understand it. You see those things, read those articles. There are books, there are documentaries. You can't say it's not my thing. It is your thing, no. Snapchat is your thing. I don't say you should go and be on it. I don't need to be on those things, but I need to understand it because your children are going to be on it. Remember, there's something we call the law of first mention. It's better for your child to come and hear the correct thing from you than hear the wrong thing outside. Because most of when you're growing up, the first place you stumble on something, you keep going back to that place to check it, to check it, to check it. So it's better for you to hear. You have things like online predators now. Who is going to teach your children how to understand, all those tricks and all those things? Content algorithm, all the manipulations, all the AI. Some people, you hear some parents say they don't know what ChatGPT is. What does that even mean? And you're raising children in these times. It's like you're leaving your children as a prey to the digital world. Is a whole world. And I'm sorry to say, they don't fall for all this. They're now doing Instagram for 16-year-olds. They're putting picture. All those things, marketing strategy. I don't care the influencers that are bringing to talk. It's money matter. Take away the money matter. Because I looked at it that do you give a 16-year-old a gun and say you're giving precautions? It makes sense. I said we don't do trends, like I said. It's not about what is trending. Let me now talk about the concept of your family as an enterprise. That's why I talked about it, that you're stewarding destinies. If you understand that, just picture, sometimes I look at the Olu of Worry, and when you look at him, you can tell that this man was groomed for this. The way you can just tell that he was groomed and prepared. Look at the royals, the royal family. There are things that others they can't. There are dressings that others may be doing trends. They don't do trends. Okay, I like to use this analogy like a bank, because some people will say it's the times, is that I say no, your family run your family as an organization. You are building a legacy, as if I'll call to you. So your family, just like you go to Zenith Bank, you don't say in GT Bank they do like Zenith Bank. Say no, we have our policy, our vision, our mission. We have our own standards. So as a family, when your child comes say, all my friends are doing it, you say, what does your family stand for? And I'm going to ask you this statement. Do you have a family vision? Do you have your family value? Where your family is going? Because you don't just tell your children, don't do this, don't do that. No. You must have because what does your family represent? Who are you? So everything you're teaching is not going to be like you're denying them. You're teaching them with it's just like saying that someone is aware he's going to be a king, and they're telling him he can't do certain things. He's not feeling inferior. He knows that I'm the 1%. So are you raising the 1%, or are you raising anyhowness? Like I said, if you understand the vision of your children, so the question is that what has God told you about your child? Do you know? Have you ever asked? Do you have the template? If you have the blueprint and you know the 25-year-old you are raising, remember I told you your 3-year-old is a future 25-year. I tell parents, some parents come to me, they draw curriculums, and I say, don't just draw a curriculum for a year. The first thing I ask any parents is that who is the 20? Do you have a picture of that 25-year-old? Imagine your 25-year, your child as a 25-year walking into your room. Who do you want to see? So you're working from the answer backward. It shapes the environment you live in, the school they go, where you live, everything. You can't just jackpot to one country and just live anywhere because you have a picture of who you are raising, and the environment can shape everything. What they watch, some things is not necessarily sin or evil. Mm-mm.
Hey, Dr.
The
Lola, I'm
conversation is
nodding
not
my
sin or
head,
evil.
but your gist is very
Eh?
sweet. We are running out of time.
Okay, I'll round up. So your family, okay, to the adults you are raising. So walk backward, okay. And the picture, I talked about all the pictures of this you are raising, the consecration, the boundary. So that helps you to put those structures in place. You know the interesting thing, you know the American Pediatric Association, they moved away from just saying 2 hours limit with this concept I'm talking about to they have this 5C concept now. So that's why it's not a concept of saying we can watch 1 hour or 2 hours. Even the American Pediatric Association, they are talking about family media plan now. They're talking about family structuring media plan according to their values. So this 5C's child, content, calm. I'll just run through it, okay? Knowing your child, who your child is. And I have stressed, okay, their age and everything. What kind of child? Who are you building? So I'm now structuring it into the vision that you have for your child. Okay, the content, quality, matters, not just the quantity. Whatever they are watching, you need to, like I said, quantity matters, the quality matters, the device, all those things matter. All those things should come from your value system, will determine how you filter content. How are screen being used? Don't use screen as a nanny. Don't use screen as to suit your child. You understand? Don't use it to kill boredom. Boredom is good for children. Boredom helps them to think. So don't be scared that your children are bored. What you should think about is how do I create an enriching environment to support the children? Okay, what is screen replacing? Excessive screen time. Don't let it replace physical activity. Don't let it replace family time, because I want to move into family time. The communication, like I said, the law of first mention. Don't let them know the dangers, but not in the denial way. You can't do this. Why? You understand the law of first mention. Then, so they have somewhere I talked about the family value, creating a media plan, because I was trying to just cut my slide. So you need to create a media plan. I'm talking about a family connection, a family now. So your family, but your media plan is created from your family value. So what does a media plan entail? So many things in your media plan. What is media? How do we use media? Even in different ages, what age is your child going to have a phone and why? I'm considering younger people now. Still talk about people whose children already have phones. Okay, you have screen-free zones you can create a screen-free zone in the house, maybe in the bedroom, just for precaution. Things like taking phones into the bathroom and everything like that. Your children should be able to use devices for assignments in public places. When I mean public places, open place in the house, not in secluded places. So you can have a central charging station and things like that. Screen time, you can have screen-free times where you can spend family time together. They're watching something together during meal times or in the kitchen. So all those kind of things should be in your plan. Okay, so it's not about punishment, it's protection. Then don't just replace and say, okay, they've been watching too much. No, you need to don't just remove, you need to replace. So some children are bored, there's nothing to watch. So enrich your home environment with tools and play, toys, books, things that they can do. And also you as a parent, you need to get down, do puzzles, all those in Legos, cooking together, all those things. Don't just remove. Then connection. So all these rest on connection. If you're not connected, connection is not just spending time together. Connection is that your child finds you as a safe zone to be vulnerable. Okay, when they're in mess, they can run to you. So how connected are you to your children? To have these conversations with them, you need to be connected so they understand where you're coming from, that you're not just denying them. So things like have family movie night. Okay, so now we're talking about screen as a tool for connection. So you need to plan, like I said, you're planning together as a family. You have your vision. You now have your media plan. We have discussed media extensively, the good, the bad, the ugly. You now create a framework, a plan together with them, especially if you have older children. Okay, and create bonding time, family movie night, maybe last Friday of the month. Put a time to it. Make it fun. You can do popcorn together. You can do a meal plan together. Spend time in the kitchen. You can prepare together and use it as a connection tool. Then I want to say something in even watching media with your children. Don't just watch a movie and laugh. One of the things you can do is that after the movie, you can have conversations like that enables critical thinking. Like, if you're supposed to rewrite this story, do you think you would have written it if you're the author of this movie? Or if you're going to write a part 2 of this movie, get your children to think. Or even in that movie, in that scene, this person was a lawyer. with this attitude, whatever they so those kind of it gets them to think. And for your younger children, even when they are watching cartoons, don't let them just sit down and be consuming. Be interacting with asking them questions. Oh, this thing is carrying a blue this thing. Wow, what do you think? Engage them with the content to get them to think. Because remember, you don't just want children that are consuming. You want them to be able to create. So don't just say because it's educational they can consume excessive things. Because I believe that anything a child can learn off the screen, they don't need to learn it on the screen. They don't need to learn ABC on the screen. Use the screen for something productive. And you have clients who tell my children can sing. So you see some program, they say it helps speech. This I don't want to mention names here. But trust me, they are cramming. They are just consuming. They are cramming. Okay. Real learning is withdrawing, repainting, and everything. Screen is unidirectional. And even if you have to watch anything in your media plan, in your time, interact with the child. Don't let the child sit down for 2 hours and just watching. They're just consuming. I want to mention some common concerns. Somebody say, what of school? What do I do? The first thing that before you enroll your child in the school, these are the part of the questions you need to ask. What is the digital policy in your child's school? You need to know. How do they use their media? How many hours are your children spending on the thing? What filters do they have? What protocols do you have to protect your children from online predators and all that? You need to ask the school, demand it. Does the school have a policy? Because you can't hold a school accountable to something that you have not demanded for. Okay, and remember the school's vision must align with your own vision. So everything rests on your own vision, where you're going. Okay, of course you can partner effectively with the school to help them. And if you're watching screen in school, you know that you also reduce your screen time at home. Okay, one thing I also want to say, as a parent, your digital footprint affects your children. So parents will say, my child stumbled on pornography in the house. The question is, who is watching pornography in the house? Pornography is not adult content, it's perverted content. I'm sorry, I tell you. Anything that all this one says someone dressing is adult is perverted dressing is perverted dressing. That's why you have family vision and values. As a parent, you are accountable to those values. Don't say you're watching it when your children are sleeping. The algorithm will bring your children what you watch. Who do you don't want your child to be like? Who are you following on social media? Who are you watching? People that are showing bomb and all those things. Trust me, your children will stumble on those things. Okay, so you don't just know that the household rules, who living with you. I see on social media, my nanny is using phone at night. What are the rules? Before people come to live with you, your values, they must be in place. Your media plan, they must adhere to it. Because if a nanny watches, they will destroy your process. Show things. I've seen a case where a child was shown porn, 8-year-old in church, by an adult when the parents were not present. Of course, the question is also teach your children when they stumble on content online, what should they do? If a friend shows them this thing, what should they do? How I talk about law of first mention, how to escalate. So that's why you must be connected, that they can come and tell you so that you're not shouting. Even in their school, ask the school, if this happens, how do they escalate? So we're not saying that the children are going to be perfect. Things can happen. Prepare them. They stumble on it. Somebody says, someone show them. What should they do? Then be mindful of people that are in your house, other adults, whether it's your relative, your husband, sister, your nanny, everything. I'll just keep all this one. So the action steps before I round off. So define your values and then pick the boundaries you're going to set and begin to have these conversations with your children. It's never too late. If you feel that your children already have devices, all these things, it's not to judge you, but I need to teach holistically, because you have people who are coming, who have younger children. You can always, I remember that I said, have conversations with your children. Go back and draw through the drawing board. If you need to apologize for being, lackadaisical and be accountable as a parent in your own gaps, okay? Then create a plan together with your children. It's a journey, it's not a destination. Look at the spiritual dimension. It looks like a coaches fight on my nose. This thing is war. You have to understand the war that you're up against, because it can destroy your process. You need to know that. So we need to be conscious of it. And of course, like I said, the prayer dimension of all these things. Of course, if your child is already addicted, there is help. Your child may need to detox and things like that. I have a screen time detox blueprint that can help you. And for older children, remember, have a conversation with them. Don't just take it away. Then talk about how you replace it. Then also the friends of your children. That's why we're talking about values. Who are your children's friends? They feel left out and things like that. Feeling left out is part of life. So don't try to exclude. So have those kind of conversations. I have conversations like that with my children, my nieces and everything. That as adults, don't you feel left out in some things? It's not normal. But have those conversations with them and try to create a circle of people with similar values that they can do fun things together. Finally, remember your children are royals. They're not just numbers. They're not just everyone is doing it, okay? So they don't need to be perfect. Even you don't need to be perfect. And you don't have to do everything today. You just need to get it right and get better. It's about progress, not perfection. Connection before correction. Knowledge empowers. As a parent, your first call is to learn. So as you navigate and as you become, you help your children to become. Thank you. I just have some resources and screen time detox will help you. I have a school digital safety checklist. Some of the questions you can ask a school that you're going to put your child. And I have like a workbook that can help you with this family value, vision, and everything. towards even creating all these things. Thank you. I tried to rush it.
Dr. Lola, what will I don't even know what I will say. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. Like, I can't believe that this
I was telling Ify that some people have this depth in parenting, like it's different from regular.
I'm screaming.
Oh,
Wow, 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 wow. I thought we started on fire, but this ending is something else.
yeah, this is sweet.
This is something else. Dr. Lola, thank you. I don't have the words to thank you for what you've just delivered. Like the number of families that you have just saved in this short, is it 20 minutes? I don't even care how long it was. What you've just achieved in this short amount of time is a reminder that, and I'm going to say this out loud, follow who no road.
No road.
Follow who no road. Because
This
we've
is
heard
not
so many things. I mean, we've had so many things
this is not
about
random conversations.
don't understand. Do you get? It's not about just, oh, we are talking about this. Okay, this is what you should do about screen time. Okay, this. I think for me, the part I loved the most was where she broke down, the 5 C's. Because a lot of times you hear, oh, don't use screen, don't screen. And I also love the fact she gave the two different categories. This is how you use it. Don't let the screen be running your child. You run your child. And then a reminder that our children are royals. It is so important for us to remember as parents that we're not just raising children, we are championing destinies. Dr. Lola, thank you.
Yes.
I don't
Thank
know if
you
there are
so
questions
much.
because, in fact, anybody that is asking question, the only question you should be asking is, Dr. Lola, where is the link for us to get your resources? I don't know the question you people want to ask, but that's my own question. Please, where is the link to get the resources?
I will share with you. I will share with the admin.
Yes,
I guess we have your email, so that I will share it with
yes,
the admin,
please,
and
Thank
I
you
because
guess
so
everyone will get. Thank you
much.
so much. I
we
tried
need
to
to share it. Yes.
put so
You did not do small,
I can
oh.
take.
The way you're doing, I said the way you
Oh,
said you did small.
this
No, no, no,
topic,
no, no.
if you knew how hard to keep compressing my slides, because I had just had people that know me that I can teach this thing for 2 hours and I'm not going to be done
I
because there's a
can
lot of
imagine.
unpacking, layers
Yeah,
for people.
I can imagine, honestly. So anyway, let me just ask, if do you people have questions? We can take one or two because I know it's
I
very
can take
early for
questions.
you.
I'll stop sharing.
Yes, please, please. If you have questions, please bring out the questions. In fact, as you were speaking, I was just thinking about all the different things that, I was doing in my house. In fact, I have a question. So a lot of parents use screen time, especially when they're abroad or in the diaspora, because they don't usually have help, right? It's just you and the child. What what are ways that we can sort of manage? Because I know, in fact, using my own experience, I started screen time very, very early. I'm talking about even before 6 months, and I paid for it
Wow.
dearly. She didn't have words,
Mm,
wasn't speaking.
mm,
I had to, in fact, it was
mm,
punishment. I don't want to say punishment, but I told everybody in my house, turn off the TVs, hide your phones. We need to start talking to this child. And that was how she got her words because we turned off all the
mm,
screens in the house. So I know I've dealt firsthand with what that looks like, where you
mm.
subject a child to a screen over and over, you're not monitoring it. So what can we do for people that are in that space where maybe they don't have, even if you're not in the diaspora, maybe you don't have support and it's just you and the child? What can
And
we do?
I think first of all is perspective. Most parents are worried that your child is bored. Children need boredom because boredom helps them to think. So don't try to quench a child's boredom. I think that's one of the things. The child just sitting not doing anything. No, they help them to think. So don't try to quench the boredom. Maybe like that's what I talked about. I actually have a course where I talked about creating a functional home environment that enhances learning and fun. Look, I have this book called The Play Manner and the Toy Guide. So enrich the home environment with the right tools and resources. That's why I said that don't just remove, replace. Then another thing as a parent, depending on when you started, it can look very tough, like you're detoxing. I'm sure your daughter must have been crying and shouting, but if you understand the way that you're helping the child, so it depends on the level. Even if you don't have a nanny, that's where structure comes in. What happens with that? Most of the time, we don't create routines and structures early, so it becomes a problem. For those of us that have younger children, I will start with younger children. I'll talk about older people for a bit. If you have younger children, the first 1 year, 2 years, create structure. When I talk about family values, it shapes everything. the adults you're raising, the things that are allowed in. So create structures and routines, and let your environment be safe. So even if I'm working on my laptop, your child can be within your vicinity, and you put resources around. Then also make out time for the child. So be intentional. So maybe have a block of time, 10 to 11, that you can get down with the child. Because sometimes the child will be coming to disturb you because they are thinking that you are neglecting them. So intentionally fill their love time. Don't give them food all the time to keep quiet. Get down with the Lego. Some parents will be like, can I do Lego? You will do Lego. You will do puzzle, you will draw and paint with the child. Sit down with the child and do it. Because what I always tell parents, if you want rest, you need to do the work. So you can teach your child to be independent. But for the first few times, it can be difficult. So get down with the child and do it and time it. And later on, allow them to do it themselves. Oh, mommy is coming. Oh, that's so beautiful. Like today, my son came. He said, I have it all. I said, I want to paint my nails. I said, no, my dear, don't paint my nails. Go and get paper. My son will paint the wall. So we got plain paper. I said, go and get paper and paint on and come and show me when you are done. So number one, don't be scared that your children are bored. Let the environment be safe. Then enrich the environment with the right resources. Then create a routine. Teach your children routine. So what is your child's daily routine? From 1 to they can have a routine. Teach them to pick their toys, to what wake up time, meal times. Start teaching them to do things, put their clothes away, do chores with you, fold the dress, make it fun. It's not punishment. You are cooking, go and bring this. They want to do those things with you as well. So to teach them to be independent. So it's a training. It's not easy at first, but you train your child to be able to spend 30 minutes alone, 1 hour alone, doing something productive, not screen to keep them quiet. But most importantly, even when your children come and say, mommy, I'm bored, oh, you say, that's lovely, my dear. You can think. So give them, and when you give them toys that challenge their brain, it challenges them to think, oh, can you go and draw so? Can you do this and so? Paint and come and show me, things like that. So it will help them. I don't think diaspora is the issue. Because if talk about nannies, so a nanny goes to parents for you. What are the nannies doing with the children, really? So I don't know, like I said, sometimes it's perspective. You have to train your nanny as well to follow what you want to do, even if you have a nanny. They're not going to fill in the gaps. So, and for you that have older children as well, like I said, if they are used to screen, you have to win them, but have the conversation with them. Connect with them. If you're not connected to your children, you will struggle. But if you're connected to them, and remember, it's their life. Let your children know that it is their destiny and their life. So when they own it, so even when someone shows them something outside, they know that, no, this thing is not good for me. Not because my mommy is not here, I will do it. So, but it's a journey, like I said, yeah. So start from where you are, and it's fine.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. As in,
I'll
as you're
take any
talking,
questions that we have.
yes, that was a very thoughtful answer, because I think that routine and structure is extremely important for children at that age.
Yeah.
Please ask your questions now, because if Dr. Lola goes and you people ask questions, you'll be on your own. This is our last speaker for the evening. If
Our
she
last
goes, you
for
are
this
on your own.
conference.
See, don't be afraid. We've created a non-judgmental space. I don't care what your question is.
Ask questions.
Ask the question now. I have 2 more questions that I want to ask, because I don't know about you people. Me, I have questions, sure. My second question is on the conversation around, like you mentioned, you said, oh, you should not say that you don't like social media, or you're not on social media, or you don't know how to use social media, because I actually hear that quite a lot. One of the things, I think I shared it in my own session, that I sit with my children and watch all the cartoons they're watching, and I enjoy it with my full chest. So what would you say is one good way for parents who have not started, or that is something that is in their mindset? What is one good way that they can do that? And then I have a question. Someone says, how can I detox a child from a screen? I think that depends on the age. Can you share the age of the child so that you can help? Yes. Another person is asking, what activities can we use to replace screen time for a 10-year-old? I like this question. Yes. In fact, ignore my question. Answer these people. I like this their question.
Yeah. So, like I said, it depends on where you started from. Things like puzzles. See, puzzles. We have puzzles per age. We have puzzles that are more complicated. Do you understand? So, like now in this my toy, I have a toy guide, toys that teach. I grouped toys into different categories of toys and how they build skills and enhance learning. So, what you can do is, think of things that are creative. So it depends on where the child is starting. That's what I want to say. Because if a child at 10 has never done puzzles, like me, I struggled with puzzles even as an adult. So even if a child has never done puzzles, you can start with little one. But like I said, a 10-year-old, you need to have a conversation. You can't just come and say, today, we are taking it away. The children are going to rebel. They won't understand what you're trying to do. So have a conversation and begin to do some of those activities with them. So like your family time now, do family game time. Every day you can have a connection time with your children. What is the connection time? When they come, you can sit around the table. It could be after dinner or something where you sit down. You can ask them questions. After you ask them questions about the day, look for things to do. Maybe you can do paint by numbers with your children. You can do, because your children want to spend time with you, except there's an issue. They are not connected to you, like I said. So do activities. You can do, what do you call it? Puzzles, Legos, building activities. Also depends on your child's interest. But I tell parents when they tell me about interest, do you expose your children to different things before you tell me they're not interested? So instruments, can you expose the child to instruments? Can they learn a new skill? Can they learn you can even do things like expose them to cooking, where you're exploring different types of food. How do? You write the list, you go shopping together, you create the budget together. That's why I say connection is at the foundation of some of these things. And let me say this here. If you are still the yelling and hitting parent, you will struggle with some of these things I'm telling you. I know we don't want to get to that conversation because it affects connection. It creates invisible fear. I don't have time to unpack that because not everybody may be ready for this conversation. So you need to be connected to your children. Create time every day. So maybe after dinner, 15 minutes. So that's why routine happens. Because when there's a routine, it's easier to be consistent with them. So in that your 15 minutes after dinner, you can have a family time. Maybe every day we discuss the high points of my day and the low points of my day, and we talk about it. Then maybe we do things like, okay, we do paint by numbers. We can do Legos. But there are some Legos that are 3D, they are building together. Even a 100-piece puzzle. You guys can be doing it together as a family, and you're gisting and you're talking about different things. You might not even finish it in one day. You come back the next day. Then think of creative things. Learning an instrument, for example, learning a new skill. Because when someone has an interest, they become consumed with that thing. So think of things that can challenge your 10-year-old's brain. You see some children that they are challenged with space, and they're doing a research or maybe being an astronaut or writing a book about it. And so it's a creative thing that gets them very consumed into that thing. So think of different new interests. They can learn poetry. They can learn carpentry. By the time they learn it and they go for the classes, when they come home, they are consumed with creating and building those things. So the question is, what are the things you are exposing them to? New interests, new skills, new learnings. Then even things like, if you want to even do a bit of screen, you can make your screen time things like documentaries. You can learn about history of so. Those of us in diaspora, you can start learning about the history of Nigeria. So children may not know about Nigeria. You can learn a new language. There's so many things you can do that will be building. They're going to be building. You can connect. You can tell me and your child can tell you want to learn a new language. So you learn something, you speak to him. You just create those activities for connection. Not that your 10-year-old should be busy on their own all the time. Look for opportunities of connection, and build skills. That's the first thing. Building skills, connection, creativity. When you think about it, then you have an open mind. If you have a girl, things like knitting, even boys who can do things like knitting, poetry. Poetry, what they do, this poetry that they mold things, things like that. They can learn a new instrument, guitar, whatever, buy it, and they can get themselves consumed. And because things like that can even use for calming. If you teach your child an instrument, it's one of the ways they can regulate. It helps them to regulate, because for you to be able to play an instrument, you need to use all your senses to be present. So you build new neurons in the brain as well. So you think of even cooking. Cooking builds executive functioning skills, planning, thinking. And the way you do cooking is not cooking that put the rice, put 2 cups, check the water. That's prompting, and the child is not learning. Give the child a chance to draw the menu. You draw the list, we go shopping together. The child will pack all the things and shop it by themselves. Use that to teach them haggling. Use that to teach them budgeting. Then you get home, teach them to write out the recipe, think through it. You see all the skills that you have put into it. So do you understand? Coloring, so many things. Okay, yeah, somebody is talking about charity stores. Oh yeah, if we talk about money, I also teach people, especially those in diaspora. You can go to your $1 shop, £1 shop, up shop, where they are doing sales, garage sales. Even their schools or daycares, every year, end of the year, they dispose of some of the things they have because they want to buy new things. Those are places that you can get cheaper things. But of course, always check for the quality, the material, check for loose ends so that we avoid choking hazards.
For those in Nigeria, something that I did when I was sending my children to creche, I built a very good relationship with the teachers and the owners of the facilities. And I used to tell them, involve me, add me to your budget. When you are going shopping for supplies for the school,
That's a good
tell
one.
me. I will
That's a
give you
good one.
money, buy for me, because I don't know where to buy those things. So that's an option
That's a
as
good
well.
one.
And I think that goes in line with what you just said about communicating. We need to learn to open our mouth and talk. Ask questions, talk to people,
Ask questions,
right? Okay, so there was another question. I think this is a really important question. How do you detox a teenager off screen, considering they do schoolwork on the laptop and can sometimes even choose playing games like Roblox over schoolwork? They are doing well in school, though.
Okay. So let me start with, don't be that they are doing well in school. Please put it in one pocket somewhere. Because we want them to build skills for life, or not be the same. Okay, let me, like I said, it depends on where you're starting from. You know, a teenager now is almost an adult. So where you're going to start from is a different level. Then know that teenager, for example, now, you did not, and this is not to bash you. There was no law of first mention about those games. There was no preparing for that world. So I tell parents that before even if your child is going to have a device in school later on, the question is, you already know that your child is in year 4, and in their school, when they get to year 7, every child is going to have a device. The question is, what preparation are you putting in place? What conversations are you having? Are you preparing that child for that digital world? So most of the time we didn't, because there are some children that they already know. It's not every child that plays online games. It's not every child. Some children don't, because it's outside of your family values. They know the dangers of it. They won't even do it. So, but your child is already doing it, and you now see something wrong with that. Means that it's like saying that a child started doing something before you got to know. It's a different conversation. The law of first mention was already missed. So how do you detox? The first thing is having a conversation with that child. Then, like I said, it's going to be, it's more difficult. You can't just take the device from the child, because you gave the child the device in the first place without the preparation. So have a conversation with the child. Then I go back to you again. What is your family value? Do you have family value? Does your child know what is allowed and what is not allowed? So if you have not created those kind of things, because you can't teach any concept from not coming from a value place. It's just like when you want to teach sex conversation. You need to teach from the place of your value. Some people believe in cohabiting, and because your child will now bring somebody, you will now say, we don't marry from here. The child doesn't know. Like Samson, I went to go and pick from the Philistine. He went against their value. So for your 15-year-old or this, it's not going to be a fight, though. It's going to be a conversation. You're going to have a conversation. That's why you need knowledge to again. Yeah, I forgot something. I missed it out of my slide. Or maybe it was there somewhere. The concept of reading materials with your children. There are certain books and documentaries, like Glow Kids, like the other one, is it Wasted Generation or something? Where there are documentaries of teenagers themselves and young adults who are doing some of those things, the consequences. So your older children, you can read the books together and do a review. You can watch the documentaries together and do a review. In fact, you know that in Australia now, in our medical system, we actually have a unit created, a specialty created, that they deal with screen addiction and video games. It's just like saying you have cardiology units. Is that bad now? We now have that unit. So if you watch those kind of documentaries, your son will see himself through some of these places. Your daughter will see herself. See teenagers like her talking about their addiction. They will be mentioning the symptoms and the things they're experiencing. Your child will know, I'm struggling with these things myself. And the child will be saying that, I thank God I went through this and I stopped it. It has helped me to do that. You read those books together. So it won't be, you're not the only voice that the child is hearing. The child is seeing facts. And they understand. I have teenagers that are relatives, and when you ask them, they've read some of this book, and you just ask them, well, I'm not saying you don't have the device, but you know what it does to the brain. So do you want to have a brain like this or this? And the person will be like, no, I don't, because I see how the consequences of it. So would they feel left out? Yes. But feeling left out, tell your children, is part of, like, we feel left out. It's everything you can do. It's not everything. So don't let your children, we are not trying to remove feeling left out, but we're acknowledging it and we're supporting you, but knowing that for your life, your brain is going to be like this. And things like, so work with the child, have conversations with the child, but more importantly, connect to your children. When you connect to your children, they will not see every advice as fight. They will be able to, they can open up to you with their own vulnerability too, and you can support them. Then also, as parents, let's be vulnerable. You two struggle with this thing sometimes. I also was this, and sometimes some things happen to you as a teenager, you want to prevent it from you. Tell them, I did this and I struggle with this. I don't want you to experience this because I want you to have a better journey so that they can see that we're not trying to make them perfect. We're trying to make them, walk a better road. So I think, of course, with that connection and with that journey and exposing them to other voices that affirm what you're saying, it just helps them to, make those decisions. Yeah.
Thank you so, so, so much. This has been an incredible, incredible session. I love the way that you've answered these questions. I love the depth that you give to the work that you do. Honestly, God continue to bless you because I know this has not been an easy journey and you will continue to influence and change the lives of so many children, Dr. Lola. Thank you so, so much. We are honored
Thank you.
to have had you be on this call with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Working Mom Diary. Thank you to the whole online nutrition for kids team. And I appreciate everyone. Thank you, everyone. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions and follow me. I'll be happy to answer all your questions. Even outside of this one.
And we will share her Instagram page, we'll share her resources as well so that you can key into some of these things. I already have a list that I want to go and just relax and go and get my own things. I don't know about you people, but thank you so, so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good morning. Good morning here.
Wow, it has been an amazing 3 days. These past 3 days have been exceptional. I'm in amazement of the speakers, the audience, your responses. You guys are active. Oh. This chat has given me life. I absolutely love it. And I love how we are all helping each other out and answering questions and just supporting each other. A few housekeeping things. One, the PEDs Nutrition Challenge is actually starting on Thursday, the 19th. That is next Thursday. So if you haven't registered, if you're still thinking about registering or you're confused about registering, I really don't know what you're waiting for. Because
the discount code, it ends this night though, 12 a.m. It don't end.
Ending 12 a.m. West African time.
Sorry.
That's in 2 hours. So please rush and share the link again. Rush and join the PEDs Nutrition Challenge. The replays for all these sessions are going to be up this week. We are working on cleaning up the editing, making sure that it's in bite sizes, and we will share it. It will be on our website, www.nutritionforkidsng.com. You can watch it from anywhere, wherever you are. Share it with people, share it with families. I mean, what you have enjoyed, don't enjoy it alone. Share it with everybody else. We will also include the resources in the description for each video, how to contact the speaker as well, because they've done such an amazing job for us this weekend. And most importantly, of course, if there's any of their resources that you need to purchase, we will also put it there for you as well. And we will share this with you in the WhatsApp group, and we'll also email every single person that has registered for this conference. We've had over 1,000 registrations and over 200 of you on these calls every single day today. We've been here for 4 hours. I can't believe it. Again, register for the PEDs Nutrition Challenge from myself, Miss Labake, and the entire
we have not announced winners, so
don't be angry.
Let's just announce. So Advantage Farmer gave 4 slots for PEDs out yesterday. So if you hear your name, just send us a DM on Instagram. Cynthia Onyebuchi, Basirat Oshodi, Jael Uzodsike. I hope I pronounced that well. Yeah, and Folari Modupe. You are all winners. 4 of you, please send a DM to our Instagram page and we'll onboard you for the next PEDs. Yeah. See you guys in this nutrition challenge on Thursday. We want to see everybody. That is a more intimate and intense program, bootcamp. See you all there. Thank you so much. We love you. It has been a great 3 days for everybody, for us. Thank you so much. We love you. Good night, good morning, good afternoon.
Then we will also be sharing feedback form in the group just so that we can get your feedback, because we don't want this to be the last of this type of conference. We want to be able to do this again. So give us feedback in the group. Drop your testimonies of what you've learned, how this has been impactful to you. It will change the lives of so many others, and it will motivate the speakers to keep doing things like this. They gave us all these things for free this weekend. I don't think you people understand how good what these speakers have done. So please, your words, your kind words, your thoughts, everything is so important to us. It's important to the speakers. Once again,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you. You all have a blessed evening, blessed day, blessed morning,
It's
wherever
a
you
wrap.
are. It's
It's
a
a
wrap.
wrap. Bye.